Hey, this is Mark Labachetta from Maverick American Spearfishing. And today, part 2 of our blue water spearfishing series. I want to take a close look with you at spear shafts. What sets them apart, the differences, and what you need to get started with a blue water spearfishing adventure. So let's start here with the spear shafts. We have two very popular designs, really the only two main designs of spear shafts on the market today. We have a European shaft here, which has the European pinch, and then we have the American square notch. And you can see that this is like a rectangular notch in the tail of the shaft, and those are for the two types of guns out there, European style guns and American style triggers. Now, what are the differences? The differences are that this is a pinch trigger. So all European triggers by default pinch. They pinch the spear shaft, and with more and more pressure, so hundreds and hundreds of pounds, which is typically in a blue water gun, they exert more pressure because they pinch harder on the tail of the shaft, and therefore require quite a bit more resistance on pulling the trigger to let go. Now, the American square notch design, as you can see, it's a lock. It's like a key. And it releases with the same amount of effort almost every time, regardless of how much pressure is on the spear. In other words, the release effort on the trigger doesn't go up as much as it would on a pinch design, like in the half moon crescent European designs in the American trigger. So that's the tail of the shaft. Now, we also have two styles of shafts here, because you can see this one has notches, whereas this one has two shark fins. So these are going to be better for blue water hunting. These aren't going to be as good because they are a weak point in the shaft. The shaft could bend there, it could break, they're harder to load, and they will cut soft wishbones. In all blue water guns, mostly a cord, a wishbone soft design is used in the wishbone, and this helps it not get cut, and you can stack up even more than one wishbone on the same shark fin. Now that we've talked about the differences between a European style shaft that's notched for European guns and an American style shaft, let's look at the shaft thicknesses. In the shaft display here, we have shafts that start at 6.5 millimeter. They go to 7 and then 8 millimeter shafts. And we have bigger ones specifically designed for blue water guns. Now, the standard in the industry for a blue water gun capable of blue water is going to be a thicker shaft, which is 8 millimeter thickness. So that's 5/16 of an inch, plus or minus. And the thread is going to be an American 5/16 by 24. So if you see 5/16 by 24 TPI, that is the standard, and it's 5/16 thickness, and they're 24 threads per inch. This is a very popular threaded design for different blue water guns. The other style, of course, you'll see is a barb shaft. Everybody's familiar with that. This is also called a Hawaiian shaft, sometimes Tahitian shaft. Hawaiian because it's on the bottom, usually Tahitian it's on top. However, it doesn't make much of a difference. This is not going to hold as well on blue water fish, fast moving pelagic fish, because it's going to rip or put more leverage on the fish. So if you get a poor shot on a real Hail Mary and a long shot and it's just under the skin, this could rip through the skin if the shot isn't clean and doesn't go all the way through the fish completely. And also, it's going to put a lot more leverage on the shaft. It's going to try to bend it, particularly in a large blue water fish. Whereas with a threaded shaft with a breakaway tip, it breaks away, so it doesn't exercise all that bending resistance on the shaft, and it's a much cleaner pull, and it's easier to land a fish and maximize your chances of landing it exponentially. So now let's talk about the loading tabs, also known as shark fins. Now, with roller guns, inverted rollers, a loading tab, a loading assist, also known as a cheater tab, is going to help load a roller gun, an inverted roller, or a really long spear gun, because you can reposition the gun onto your chest once you get it loaded here. This shaft here is what I consider the minimum for a blue water thickness shaft, which is 5/16 shaft, 8 millimeter. It's going to have enough inertia, momentum, and knockdown power to get through most blue water fish. However, if you're using a bigger gun, 4 bands or more, you want to look into a thicker shaft. This is an 11/32, which is close to 9 millimeters, 8.75. Has 4 tabs, so it allows you to put 4 bands or more. Again, you can put more than 3 bands on this gun. You can just stack 2 of the bands on one of the tabs. However, these are more purpose-built. They're heavier shafts, and being thicker, they'll require more power. On this shaft here, we got a 3/8 inch shaft, and you can see it has 6 loading tabs for up to 6 bands. In order to land larger fish, you're going to want the knockdown power of a heavier shaft. And you really have to build the gun around the shaft, because in order for the gun to shoot this heavy shaft accurately, it needs not to recoil and make the front of the gun jump. So we build heavier guns that are ballasted. They float more, but they also produce and they provide more mass, so that when you shoot a heavier shaft like this, it's not going to kick. So ideally, I've come to the conclusion that 300 pounds or less, a 5/16 shaft is really well suited. So 3 bands of up to 100, 120 pounds each are fine, and will keep an 8 millimeter shaft shooting very accurately. So 400 pounds up to 500 pounds of power. This 9 millimeter shaft will definitely do the trick. It's thick, it will not bend easily, and it will not shaft whip or undulate as it goes through the water. On these big heavy shafts, 3/8 of an inch, you could shoot up to 6 bands without the shaft whipping, being very accurate, and you're going to need a heavy blue water gun, such as this guy right here, or this guy right here, to have all the power and the multiple bands to avoid recoil and be able to throw the shaft out there with it being straight and accurately up to 25 feet away. So that saying, it's the Indian, it's not the arrow, is true, but your arrow has to be true and your gun has to be accurate if it's built correctly around the spear shaft that it shoots. So generally, a good spear shaft like this is going to always be over $100. These shafts here are about $120 for an 8 millimeter threaded with multiple shark fins and cheater tabs. These custom high-end shafts are $150 to $160 because everything is hand welded. It's very precise. It's very straight. They are sight straightened, machine straightened, down to nominal, as it's called in the machining industry, of less than 5/1000ths of an inch for straightness, so that when you shoot that fish of a lifetime, there's no doubt in the back of your mind that the shaft is straight, and the rest is up to you. Subscribe to my YouTube page, MaverickAmericanSpearguns.com. I have 25 years of spearfishing experience, and I'm here to share all of what I've learned with you to make you a better spearo and have gear that works for you.